For years, Subriel Matias wasn't just a champion.
Previously undefeated foes and an onion goes down right before the bell.
He was the man fighters quietly avoided. The pressure.
And Matias has Ponce stagger.
The power.
Air down. Jukmabayev, there's a left hook, and down goes Jukmabayev. Oh my goodness.
The violence.
And now they are stopping the fight. The fight has been stopped.
The monster at 140 that nobody wanted to deal with. And Matias knew it. He walked into fight week with the swagger of a man who'd broken opponents before and expected to break another.
The only I'm gonna say this day, I'm gonna bring out the little girl he got inside him. So let's do it.
At the face-offs, he carried himself like a predator who'd already tasted blood, staring down Dalton Smith and his team with the confidence of every man he'd sent crashing to the canvas, including one opponent who tragically lost his life days later after their brutal fight.
Normally, I can tell when a fight needs to be stopped. This is a kind of ring tragedy style fight.
So the question wasn't, can Dalton Smith win? It was whether he'd survive at all. But to understand why Dalton Smith walked into the ring with so much danger in front of him, you have to understand who Subriel Matias really was. He wasn't just a champion. He wasn't just a puncher. He was the kind of man who took a fighter's soul before he took their consciousness. And the proof was written in the bodies he left behind. These are some of the fights that built this monster. Before Dalton Smith ever walked toward the fire, others had already learned what it meant to share a ring with Subriel Matias. When Batirzan Jukmabayev danced with the devil, he felt the truth immediately. Matias's power wasn't hype, it was fact.
Yes. Matias is trying to wear down Jukmabayev. There's a left hook, and down goes Jukmabayev. Oh my goodness.
Jukmabayev fought back with everything he had, his face swelling, his shots landing clean, but Matias's chin didn't move.
So there's a big right hook that connected by Jukmabayev. I don't know if Matias was off balance, and now Matias unloads upon Jukmabayev.
He just kept marching forward, unbothered, unbreakable. And once Matias found his rhythm, the fight turned dark. He closed it with ritualistic calm, cold, methodical, merciless.
Then Nonito Dorere, and now they are stopping the fight. The fight has been stopped, and Subriel Matias has defeated Jukmabayev, and I am stunned.
Then came Petros Ananyan, the only man who had ever beaten Matias. He tried to do it again, and for a moment, it looked possible. Ananyan landed big shots, sharp counters, and clean combinations.
A little bit of space to where he can unleash a combination. And I started to see a change. Once
But Matias doesn't break. He absorbs. He processes. He evolves.
just touching. Ananyan, uppercut again, and that round comes to a close.
And once he decided to let his fists and pressure speak, everything changed.
Another body shot, and Ananyan is really succumbing to a lot of these shots. You can just see the body language on Ananyan. I think he's had enough.
It felt like the gates of hell swung open.
Just looked absolutely tremendous, and there's a big left hook, and that puts him down.
Ananyan didn't just lose, he quietly stepped out of the fight to avoid the kind of punishment that changes a man forever. In his interim IBF title fight against Jeremias Ponce, Matias showed the same cold efficiency.
Oof, I think that both of these fighters, wow.
No theatrics, no wasted motion, just relentless pressure and violence delivered with purpose.
Oh, beautiful left hook upstairs by Matias. Now Matias unloading on Ponce, but Ponce came back with...
He dropped bombs round after round. Ponce's corner made the only decision they could: save their fighter from permanent damage.
Tonight, but he was taking a lot of shots.
Yeah, I assume his corner did not want to let him go out.
Finishes this one stunning considering everything we saw.
Then came Shoshahan Ergashev, undefeated, heavy-handed, and convinced he was the one who could tame the beast. But as the rounds passed and Matias entered into his rhythm, Ergashev's confidence drained from his face. Every exchange reminded him that this time he wasn't the hunter, he was the prey. By the end, he looked like a man wishing he'd never signed the contract.
Orgullo de Maternillo, Subriel Matias.
Even seasoned veteran Gabriel Goyes, 30 wins, heavy hands, real experience, couldn't slow the storm. He felt the same thing everyone else did. Matias's power isn't just physical, it's psychological.
Matias just continues to chop away.
It breaks you before it finishes you.
The knees buckling on Matias, and down he goes.
This is why a lot of people didn't give Dalton Smith a chance to win this fight.
Smith's going from the wading pool into the ocean a little bit as far as levels of competition. Matias has been there. He has shown he can handle that level. He has been tested. He has been hit by waves, and he survived those waves. Will Smith get hit by waves in this fight, and can he survive them?
But as frightening as Subriel Matias' power was, something even darker followed him into this fight. A shadow that had nothing to do with knockouts or pressure.
This broke last night. I'm reading this from Sky News. Dalton Smith's world title opponent, WBC World Lightweight Champion, or World Super Lightweight Champion, Subriel Matias, fails drug test.
In the lead up to the bout, Matias returned an adverse VADA test for ostarine, a banned performance-enhancing substance. And suddenly the conversation changed. No longer was the question just about whether Matias was the most dangerous man at 140. It became something far more uncomfortable. Was this monster built on brutality alone, or was there something else behind it? The boxing world split instantly.
You need to give the fighter the opportunity to deal with the situation, but at the same time, 90% or beyond that of people who fail drug tests are guilty, but some aren't. But I just want it dealt with swiftly.
Some argued contamination, others pointed at trace levels, and many asked the question no fighter ever once attached to their name. Why was it there at all?
Spencer, this is a nonsense, isn't it?
And defend his WBC title. What happened to the WBC cleanup program? I mean, this is absolute nonsense. Anybody that knows when you're on a cycle and you're washing something out of your system, there will be traces of it. You can't say, oh, it was low and below the threshold of what we testing.
Yeah.
I go, it was found in his system. It's a performance-enhancing drug. Matias should have been stripped of the title.
So Matias walked into fight week carrying two heavy shadows: the fear he had created inside the ring and the suspicion he couldn't shake outside of it. But while the sport argued about test results, thresholds, and whether the fight should even happen, Dalton Smith never flinched. He heard the noise, he saw the headlines, he understood exactly what an adverse test meant, not just for the fight, but for the reputation of the man standing across from him. And still, he made his choice.
You know, failed test for me is a failed test, and especially the substance what's in the system. But look, as far as I know, the fight's happening. You know, the fight's going ahead as mad as it is, but, you know, I'm not one to sit here and try and make an excuse. You know, I'm a fighter, and I go in there and it just makes the victory that much sweeter.
Smith said he trusted his preparation, he trusted his team, and he trusted the commission's ruling. The WBC cleared the bout, New York regulators cleared the bout, and Dalton Smith wasn't about to let a cloud, even one this dark, steal the biggest opportunity of his career. To him, this wasn't about controversy. If Matias really was the monster everyone feared, then Smith wanted to be the man who walked straight toward it.
I started it from 6 years old for that reason, you know, to reach the top in boxing. I'm not here to make up the numbers, I'm here to achieve a childhood dream.
Meanwhile, Matias showed no remorse, no humility, no respect. He carried himself like a man who believed the outcome was already written, like a self-appointed boxing god untouched by doubt or consequence. And that arrogance didn't go unnoticed. Smith didn't bark back, didn't posture, didn't play into the noise. He tightened his gloves, stepped toward the moment, and left the world wondering what would happen when quiet resolve finally collided with violent certainty. When the two entered the ring, Smith came out sharp in the opening round, using his movement and clean outside boxing to set the tone early.
At the beginning, he blocks them. You know, sometimes that's the way he works.
At the same time, remember a couple of fights ago, we were there ringside.
Dalton stayed disciplined, picked his shots, and refused to be drawn into unnecessary exchanges.
Look, I could take your best shots, try to mentally maybe break you or intimidate you. The jab. Overhand left, should I say. You said set up with the jab.
In round two, Smith kept the same composure but began stepping into range in brief bursts, showing he wasn't there just to survive.
This fight was, would he be around? He showed a great punch output, but right now,
just go for sure in this round, and you see Dalton holding on to him right away, which...
Matias responded with his usual menace, landing thudding shots whenever Smith lingered too long.
Not just because he's holding, or look at those short shots.
The action tightened as the round progressed, and despite moments of success on both sides, neither fighter managed to fully seize control of the fight.
Right now, yeah, he's putting Dalton Smith out of his comfort zone.
In the third round, Smith chose to trade with Matias, standing his ground right in front of the pressured fighter. It was a dangerous shift, and for a moment it played directly into Matias' hands.
Dalton's making a mistake there already, but now he's rushing in with his hand.
The champion soon found his rhythm, landing his best shots of the fight and finally imposing his presence.
back and forth action in the center of the ring.
The momentum began to swing in the fourth, and it felt like the tide was turning in Matias' favor.
I think Dalton ain't got no choice, Corey. There he is going toe-to-toe with him. That's where you make the mistake.
By the close of round four, Smith was wearing the damage, a split over his left eye.
Matias comes back with 3, 4, 5.
Blood spilling down his face as the war began to leave its mark. The injury was ruled by the referee as a result of an accidental headbutt, yet Smith pressed on.
Trying, but Matias takes the big shot by Smith. And here you see Matias coming back with a barrage of...
Fighting through blood and adversity, fully aware that the moment to turn the fight in his favor was approaching. In the fifth round, the fight changed in an instant. Smith stayed patient, then fired a perfect right hand down the middle.
Again.
Right hand again. Subriel Matias has won.
Another right hand landed flush, and for the first time in his career, Subriel Matias tasted the canvas, stunned and searching for balance that never came.
Matias is all over the place, and that is it. Dalton Smith.
Unbelievable.
And in that moment, the aura disappeared. The fight was waved off. No controversy, no debate, just silence. Subriel Matias, the monster, was finally slayed. And it wasn't recklessness that did it. It was discipline, timing, and a man who refused to lose.
I lost respect for him because I think you've come in here to cheat. And like I said, especially in boxing, heads are probably the worst sport to be allowed in.
Matias wasn't the only one left in shock. Across the boxing world, jaws dropped and eyes widened, because what they'd just seen wasn't supposed to happen. A young and humble fighter from Sheffield, England, with an unshakable childhood dream, destroyed one of the most avoided fighters in boxing to claim the WBC light welterweight title. The future is uncertain, but Dalton Smith now walks a road that leads only upward, toward the crown every fighter dreams of, undisputed champion of the world. With a division stacked with talent, do you think he can achieve it? Let us know in the comments, and thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, hype, and subscribe to The Fight Sector. See you in the next one.